Market gains from opening lows. Nifty Sensex near day's high, led by gains in Tata Motors and utility stocks. Financials are the big drags.
REC expects to double its assets under management to $125 billion by 2030 and sees a limited impact of RBI's proposal on its Tier 1 capital. As projects backed by the government fall outside the purview, the stock gains.
Dr. Reddy slips on a weak show in the US and Russia, and Pidilite sulks on a miss on the profits, while Volta slides on missing margin expectations by a wide margin and reporting a dip in the market share.
India's Chief Economic Advisor Ananta Nageshwaran says India should aim for longer growth cycles rather than higher growth. He adds that India should focus on growing steadily at close to 7% annually. Hello and welcome to Business Lunch. I'm Sonia Shenoy and with me is Nisha Podar. Well, first up, we have Bharat Forge's numbers coming up for you on the screen. They are largely in line with expectations. So, absolutely, in fact, margins coming in just in line with expectations. The net profit growth for Bharat Forge has been pretty good. It's a 59.3% growth that we're looking at, but no surprises at all. A revenue growth of 16.5%. Now, let me tell you why the stock is still down about 1%. Last quarter in Q3, post the numbers, the management came out with very cautious commentary saying that both Q4 and FY25 will be weak, demand is moderated, and exports continue to be under pressure. Until we don't get more clarity from the management, the market is a bit tentative on Bharat Forge. Remember, the management comes out with a press release, post the numbers in about 10 minutes or so from now. We're waiting to see more on what their commentary is, and then there will be, a firm judgment taken on the stock. So for now, largely in line with expectations. It's actually a decent growth compared to what we saw last year. There is some recovery that we've seen on the top line. The profits as well are slightly higher than what the street was estimating, and the EBITDA as well largely in line with estimates. So no problems with the numbers, in line and slightly higher than what we saw same time last year, and it's a good operational performance as well. But deep down, what's happening with different segments like oil and gas, where there has been pressure, exports which have been under pressure as well. All of these, internals will be known in a bit. We'll keep you apprised of that. For now, the stock is actually recovering and heading into the green.
That's right, Sonia. Thanks for giving us the prima facie reaction on how the numbers really look. And that particular stock has also recovered. But looking at the overall market, there is strong recovery that is seen in the last 2 hours of the trading session for Nifty 50. At the moment, comfortably in the green with 0.17% hike on Nifty 50, gaining just about 35 odd points. But remember that it had gone below 22,200 levels in the trading session, and from there it has seen a fair bit of sustained recovery to now at about 22,300 levels. So that's the recovery that we are talking about. A lot has to be done from the PSU stocks, because if you really see some of the counters which are percentage gainers at this moment are the PSU companies like BPCL, Coal India, NTPC, Power Grid, and the big boy State Bank of India. But of course, the heavyweight Reliance Industries, that has also mirrored with Nifty 50 in terms of the recovery. When we talk about Sensex, 60 points gain on that particular counter as well, and mid caps are the ones which are really outperforming the key indices, 0.6% up in trade. But where the weakness really lies are the big financials, the big banking names, and therefore Bank Nifty is the one showing maximum amount of underperformance today with 0.4% down at the moment, Sonia.
Well, let's talk about some big numbers then. Dr. Reddy's fourth quarter earnings missed street expectations. The India business has come in line, while it was a big miss for the Russia business. Ekta is here with the key highlights. Ekta, over to you.
Well, I'll start with the revenue. The revenue on a reported basis was up around 12.5%. The street was working with a 17% growth. On an adjusted basis, it came in line with expectations of that 17% growth. What missed expectations were the margins. That came in at around 26.4%. The street was anticipating 27 to 28%. Now, the other miss was the US business, because the street was anticipating at least around $400 million. The range was wide, $350 to $400 million. But, most of the consensus was that they were expecting at least a higher figure from the previous quarter. The sales for the US came in at $391 million, which was lower sequentially. and missed that $400 million mark. Now, India on an adjusted basis for divestment of non-core business was up around 11%, was in line with expectations. Russia declined year-on-year as well as Q-on-Q. That was mainly because of currency issues. Now, guidance from the management is that they guided for the margin to be within that 25% range going forward. They expect rest of the world markets to grow in double digits. They aim to launch around 20 products in the US. They aim to grow the domestic business at around 10% for FY25. This is X of the Nestle JV, which they're quite bullish on as well. And they've received a voluntary action indicated status for the Bachupalli facility. So these are a couple of important takeaways. Brokerages sanguine. CLSA has an underperform. They believe there is a subdued midterm outlook because of the US price erosion, dependency on Revlimid generic, high acute mix in India. Jefferies has an underperform rating. According to them, EBITDA margins for FY25 should remain under pressure. Nomura says Q4 was a strong quarter. They are neutral on the stock.
All right, Ekta, thanks so much for giving us an exhaustive analysis of those big numbers that came in and missed the street expectations, and the market has not been kind on that one. 3.5% down on Dr. Reddy's. In fact, we spoke to the management of the company, CEO of Dr. Reddy's, to get a sense of the company's US business performance and their expectations from the joint venture with Nestle. Listen in.
This is just a timing of orders and supply. The US stay consistent like in the quarters before, or with all the levers, meaning the base business with more market share, new products, and lenalidomide. So we see that as a consistent quarter also in the US. In general, this quarter we had more expenses on R&D. Some of it is what we call seasonality. We have quite a few submissions in the end of the quarter. In addition to that, we are involved in several business development, and we have certain expenses behind them, plus a licensing fee of some products. So overall, this was impacted our expenses primarily. We believe that the 25% EBITDA give us a great sweet spot between how much we want to invest for the future. We see double-digit growth, and likely that it will stay that way also in FY25 and beyond. We naturally have the same set of numbers as it's a joint venture. We are very excited about the opportunity to collaborate with Nestle. Nestle has a very, very rich pipeline of products that currently is not registered in India. So on top of the fact that both partners put their products into the JV, there is a very, very big potential for bringing the products that are clinically proved to India. And in addition to that, it's opening an additional opportunity to collaborate with Nestle. We are very excited about this opportunity.
Okay, well, that is the word coming in from Dr. Reddy's. But let's move on. Shares of REC surged after the company clarified that the Reserve Bank's proposal on project financing will not have any adverse impact on the company. Abhishek is joining in now to explain more of this in detail. Abhishek, over to you.
To start with, REC management has given a guidance with respect to roadmap ahead. So they expect AUM to double by 2030 to about $125 billion from the current level of about $60 to $63 billion. And they can also do it by 2029 is what the management did say in the con call. They'll increase the renewable energy portfolio to 30% from 7% of the AUM that they have currently. Renewable energy portfolio can increase by 10 times by 2030. Lot of disbursement will happen in renewable energy portfolio. Distribution sector will also provide good opportunity for them to do business over the next 10 to 12 years. Now, the key highlight is the clarification that they have given with respect to RBI's draft guidelines on project financing. So they say that it's only a draft guideline by RBI. REC is an NBFC and follows IND-AS with respect to accounting standards. So as per RBI asset qualification account, this will be routed distributed through the reserves and not the PNL. So this will impact the tier 1 capital in a phased manner over the next 3 years. Now RBI guidelines are not applicable to loans which are guaranteed by government, and I was just taking a look at the loan breakup. About 89 to 90% of their AUM is by state government. So this will impact only in the generation segment for them. RBI rule will not impact adversely with respect to REC is what they mentioned in the con call. Back to you.
Very important piece of information there, Abhishek, and that has lifted the pressure from that particular counter. REC up over 6% in trade. With that, we'll slip into a short breather on Business Lunch. But when we return, we will put the focus on the big political events unfolding in the state of Haryana. Stay tuned for more details.
Welcome back. You're watching Business Lunch on CNBC-TV18. Well, let's get you an important voice from the North Block. Chief Economic Advisor V. Anantanageshwaran says India could possibly grow by 8% in FY24, adds that it is important to maintain a moderate to high growth on a steady basis rather than aspiring for much higher growth rate. Listen in.
Obviously, desired growth rate is whatever we can sustain. Maximum possible growth rate, but we also need to be realistic about the geopolitical backdrop and the geoeconomic backdrop, and therefore more important than aspiring for much higher growth rates, it's important to maintain moderate to reasonably high growth, but on a steady basis over a long period. I think it's more important to have longer economic cycles than we have had in the past, rather than looking for higher growth in the current circumstances. Removing those impediments such as deregulating the compliances and the inspections we have at the local and state government level, etc., and continued investment in focus on skilling, as well as the health dimensions of our young demography. All those things will help us grow at a steady rate of even maybe close to 7%. And the more we address some of the legacy issues, it can even rise further, based on domestic economy strengths.
All right, let's shift focus to the aviation space now, where trouble brews for Air India after a section of the cabin crew reported sick last minute. And sources say that this has led to nearly 70 international and domestic flights being delayed or cancelled. Our colleague Danish joins in with all the details of this trouble at Air India and what are the steps being taken. Danish.
Well, first turbulence has hit the Tata Group Airlines once again, as over 70 flights of Air India Express have been cancelled and delayed. The flights have been impacted as cabin crew members started reporting sick since late Tuesday night. Air Express, in a statement, has said that the management is engaging with the crew to understand what is the reason behind mass sick leaves. The airline is offering full refund or an option of complimentary rescheduling of flights to the affected passengers. According to sources, the crisis was brewing in the airline from a long time. AirAsia India, which is currently in the process of being merged into Air India Express, the Air Express employees have highlighted alleged mismanagement. The Air India Express Employees Union also wrote a letter to Tata Sons chairperson Mr. N. Chandrasekhar in April, highlighting the same. Sources told CNBC-TV18 that in the merger process, employees of AirAsia India are being allegedly preferred over AI Express employees. And the AI Express employees have also alleged that they are being overlooked in all kinds of internal job postings. The AI Express employees seem to be highly dissatisfied, and thus a massive number of cabin crew members have reported in sick.
Okay, well, moving on to the big political developments from Haryana, where there is fresh trouble now for the BJP government. 3 independent MLAs have decided to withdraw their support to the BJP and have decided to back the Congress instead. The 3 MLAs addressed a press conference in the presence of Congress leaders, including former Chief Minister Bhupinder Singh Hooda. The Congress party claims the Haryana BJP government is now in majority and calls for fresh elections under the president's rule. Haryana is scheduled to vote later this year. In fact, let's listen in to MLA Somveer Sangwan, who expresses his support for the Congress party.
आज इसी प्रकार पूरे देश के अंदर पूरी दुनिया के अंदर ये झूठ का सौदा था हो गया, इसलिए आज से जो है हम इसी बात से तंग होके या ये मान के हम पूरा समर्थन कर रहे हैं और मजबूती साथ चाहते हैं कि 10 की 10 सीट कांग्रेस यहाँ जीते और हमारा उसमें पूरा योगदान।
All right, stunning political developments right in the middle of Lok Sabha elections. Let's now slip into a short breather on Business Lunch. But when we return, Apple has launched 2 new iPad models, and we'll get you all the details, updates, and features, as well as the pricing on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Business Lunch. A quick look at the market, and the recovery really sustains and has intensified in the last half an hour of trade. In fact, Nifty 50 has crossed 22,350 mark, gains over 50 points and 0.2% up in trade. While we talk about mid caps, that's racing towards a 1% gain, so tremendous amount of gain there. Yeah, Sonia, you have more details on Bharat Forge.
You look at the way the stock is moving, right? 6.5% higher now on Bharat Forge. And as I was telling you earlier, it's not so much the numbers, but it is the management's commentary, which the street definitely likes. It's a big change compared to what we saw last quarter. Last quarter, they said there is a slowdown. This quarter, they've changed their tone completely, saying that the turnaround of the overseas business is what will lead to a strong profit growth, which means that they are looking at a good improvement in the export business. The margin improvement will lead to a strong profit growth in FY25. They also speak about how at a consolidated level, they expect FY25 to be a year of growth driven by defense, industrial castings and continued improvement in capacity utilization. This is a complete sea change compared to what we saw last quarter, what Baba Kalyani had said. And this time around, they're talking about how there's going to be growth across all segments. They also speak about the industrial segment revenues went up 72% in FY24. The sharp rise was driven by supply of components for defense application. Apart from defense, green shoots in private capex around sugar, cement and steel continue to aid demand for the industrial vertical. So this is really good commentary from the Bharat Forge management and something that the street likes. Just look at its zoom. In fact, you know, the stock has been an underperformer for the last many quarters because the commentary from the management was quite muted. But this is just like sort of, taken the street's breath away.
Thanks for pointing that out. And over 6.5% up, a very, very strong performance by Bharat Forge. And Street really is rewarding the strong management commentary coming in. Now for some good news coming in for all the gadget lovers like you and me. Well, the tech giant Apple has unveiled the new version of iPad Air and iPad Pro tablets. Now, these are the company's first new iPad models since October 2022. And in a video which was posted on the company's website, the CEO of the company, Tim Cook, said that this is the biggest day for iPad since its introduction. In fact, our colleague Shivani Gharat joins us to explain the features and the pricing for the new devices. Shivani.
Apple today unveiled the new iPad Pro in stunningly thin and light design. We got to do a hands-on with these devices. Now, first, the 11-inch model is just 5.3 mm thin. The 13-inch is even, in fact, thinner at 5.1 mm. It comes in 2 different sizes, as I mentioned, 13 and 11 for the first time. The Pro model comes in 2 sizes. Now, both the sizes feature a new breakthrough Ultra Retina XDR display with tandem OLED technology. OLED was something that was highly speculated over the past couple of weeks for the iPad Pro. Now, both these devices are powered by a powerful M4 chip. The versatility and advanced capabilities of the Pro devices is in fact further going to get enhanced with its accessories, especially the Apple Pencil Pro brings powerful interactions and experiences, in fact, to the Pro devices. Of course, there are features like squeeze, barrel roll, haptic feedback that makes marking up, creating an art piece even more intuitive than ever. Then there is the Magic Keyboard, which is also packed with some incredible features and has gotten thinner. Now, iPad Pro in itself has an updated camera system this time with rich audio from 4 studio quality mics. Also, the back camera, Apple promises, is going to capture some vibrant images and videos with improved textures, is what Apple is promising on the new iPad Pro. Then the front camera, the orientation of the front camera has been moved to landscape orientation. Now, a lot of us take our Zoom calls, video calls on iPads. So that makes, those video conferencing like extremely easy, and especially if you mount it on a keyboard or a smart folio. Now, the 13-inch and 11-inch iPad Pro will be available in silver and space black finishes in 4 different configurations, starting 256 GB that goes up to 2 TB. The base variant, the Wi-Fi only variant of 11-inch iPad Pro, is available at 99,990 rupees on apple.com starting today. But in stores, it is available from May 15th.
Okay, those are a whole host of new products from Apple. I haven't looked into it yet, but it seems like it's been a big day for Apple since it's the launch of the iPad. Well, look at the markets, by the way. The Sensex, Nifty and the mid-cap index are all zooming now. There's been a big recovery in the markets as we speak. The mid-cap index is up almost about 1%, and big gainers as well. The top Nifty gainer right now is Tata Motors. If you've missed out on the story on Bharat Forge, that stock is really the biggest mid-cap gainer, 7% higher after very strong commentary from the management just a while back, post its numbers. So Bharat Forge is the one that's gaining both on volume as well as on price. And then you have a lot of other heavyweights. Reliance is really batting for the bulls this afternoon. So that stock is up. In the broader markets, REC, PFC are all seeing big moves right now. Something like a Hoodco is up almost about 9%. So it's a pretty good looking screen, you'd have to say. After 3 days of the Nifty falling consistently, this market is now seeing a recovery. But there could be a lot of volatility, no two ways about that. In fact, as we head closer and closer to the counting day, which is June 4th, there could be a lot of election-related volatility that you need to keep on your radar. But let's also listen in to Prime Minister Modi with some views that he had at the rally in Telangana. Listen in to what he had to say.
5 साल से, लेकिन जब से चुनाव घोषित हुआ है, इन्होंने अंबानी अडानी को गाली देना बंद कर दिया। मैं आज तेलंगाना की धरती से पूछना चाहता हूं, जरा ये शाहजादे घोषित करें कि इस चुनाव में ये अंबानी अडानी से कितना माल उठाया है, काले धन के कितने बोरे भर करके रुपये मारे हैं, क्या टेम्पो भर करके नोटे कांग्रेस के लिए पहुंची है, क्या सौदा हुआ है? आपने रातों रात अंबानी अडानी इनको गाली देना बंद कर दिया। जरूर दाल में कुछ काला है। 5 साल तक अंबानी अडानी को गाली दी और रातों रात गालियां बंद हो गई। मतलब कोई न कोई चोरी का माल टेम्पो भर भर करके आपने पाया है।
All right, so those were important political comments coming in. So along with the heat, the election fever is also soaring high. But it's time to wrap up on Business Lunch. Mid-Cap Radar comes up next. Thanks so much.